2022. Another year, another step forward in the development and design and gradual progression of gaming. The improved technology reflecting in better graphics, better performance, and more fun sometimes. I'm just going to go through a quick highlight of the year that's been and the games that sort of stood out to me. If different games stood out to you, I'd love to hear it in the comments. So I'll start The Quarry. The Quarry, the teenage horror movie that you play through. Not as good as Until Dawn. Not much else to say. Okay music and the characters are okay, but generally just not as good as Until Dawn. The sports games all repeated another iteration. So the NBA, baseball, soccer, and FIFA, all the typical sports game iterations were returned. WWE had taken a year off before, so they came back and were better than before. So they had been better. So it's kind of a re-incentive for most of these developers to realize they need to take a year off. But they just keep printing money, so they'll continue to do that like they've been doing the last 20 years, the majority of them. So things haven't changed too much in the world of sport gaming. Companies still making egregious amounts of money on stupid Ultimate Team loot box type systems. Cult of the Lamb came out. That was a cult classic. Basically a cult classic because it's about cults. That was a sort of a cheaper sort of game. You need a smaller, team, but it was just a interesting concept and cute little animals doing horrible cultish type things, and you're raising your slaves, and it's quite an amusing concept that was executed quite well with the combat as well. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles got a remaster, well, a remake basically. The Cowabunga collection, all that stuff. And so an old arcade game was brought back to life, but didn't release with the online co-op features it should have had, and then they've been added later. So there's a bit of stupidity there. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 came out. So that's probably, we're talking the big boys here. The big boys. And since the previous game, Vanguard, was such a terrible, terrible failure, this one was bound to be a success, which it was financially. But it's sort of dwindling here and there. So, it's rock hard fan base. I think that's the best way to describe them. They're still around. They're still strong. And they continue to put their money where their mouth is and then say bad things on the internet. Which is, letting it go. Letting it all out there. And of course, Warzone, people are not happy, or they're never happy, and yeah. So it's a typical COD cycle. Comes out, everyone's happy, they buy the game, and then they complain about it. And then, yeah, pretty much sort of gets updates. Occasionally things are added, and then it goes on the same cycle again and again. Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin came out. The chaos. Must defeat the chaos. And it was too dark, and the maps were crap. But, you still had strong combat because Team Ninja. Evil Dead, the game, came out. The Ash vs. Evil Dead, Ash Williams horror series. Came out with the game. Quality game, but too niche, of course. Horror game, multiplayer games are always very niche. So, whether they survive or not, they'll just maintain a small crowd. It's kind of the way of horror games. Sonic Frontiers came out, and the big bold step into an open world for a Sonic franchise. I think we can all agree that, it's a brave thing to do, and it's difficult. So they had a few rocky parts here and there. Music was very, very good, though. They did it right. They honoured their fans with the music and some of the boss fight stuff. But overall, it's a positive step, and you just think about the next game, learning everything they can from this one, and whether they can take the next step. And that kind of development. Gotham Knights came out, and that was one that had hopes that it would be similar to the Arkham Knight series, Arkham Origins Batman series, but it didn't reflect the crispness of combat of the prior. The games that people were linking together, which they're made by different people, so it's a bit hard to do that. Different group made them, so. And more of a looter game, bland open world. Yeah, quite a disappointment there. Another big disappointment was Saints Row, the new one that came out. Millennial Saints Row. And it, cringe. Trash. With the shitty open world. Not much more to say about that. Just garbage. Really, just literal garbage. Lego Star Wars. I was quite excited to play that with relatives, but then, they get bored of it and move on. They're a bit old for Lego games now. But, we had that first period where you play together and you go, oh yeah, this is a Lego game, and then you sort of go, oh yeah, this is a Lego game. It's just, unless you get into fanatical collection mode and you want to get every character, and I got into that a little bit and then sort of just faded out. It sort of just doesn't have that. They're just the Lego franchises aren't as strong as they used to be, and that may just be me getting older, the reality, or just the way it just interacts. The fact that the world itself is not made of Lego, I think that's a big part of it. So they've experimented with Lego made games and they haven't got it right. They still haven't found their way to, like, they did Lego Worlds, which is their own Minecraft version, but they didn't execute it correctly. So they really needed to refine that and push that forward, but they sort of got a bit scared and went back to the movie stuff and just consolidated the previous Lego Star Wars games into a larger collection. The Last of Us Part 1, a remaster of a remaster of a remaster, minus the multiplayer. It's a great game, The Last of Us Part 1. That's stupid. The Last of Us is a great game. Fantastic game. So yeah, it looking better, it can't hurt it. Shit. I mean, unless people think that the characters are uglier than they were before. They wouldn't think that, would they? Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, the Borderlands game, came out. Sort of a halfway step between Borderlands 3 and moving on to, the next Borderlands game. And the best thing about it was just magic, just using magic, because it was a D&D inspired, but not really D&D at all. So it didn't really embrace the Dungeons and the Dragons elements at all. It should have had modifiers, multipliers, mid combat scenario, or prior to every combat scenario. You could have rolled and had different modifiers. They could have been significantly more. Yeah, they should have had more, but it is what it is. Gran Turismo 7 came out, and it was widely criticised for the monetization, which the people who did the reviews prior didn't actually get to see, so it was a bit harsh on them. And they never go back and change those reviews and remove them. It's like they've been paid for them, and then they just can't take them back. It's quite strange. But then the latest update, you added the ability to sell cars. So they have slowly recovered, but it's just like the reputation's in the dirt. Even though, the game is now much better than it was. But does that matter? It's up to you. Whether you think games should have a month or 2 months to recover. Sifu came out, really good fighting game, probably a bit overpriced, to be frank. No, well, it's way overpriced, let's be frank. It's twice the price it should be. 3 times, maybe 1.5 times, 2.5 times the price. Yeah, it really depends, but quality game where when you died you got older, and so they had good mechanic, good fighting, shit camera, so you have those lots of issues. Dying Light 2 finally released, Techland's big game, and they've been supporting the first one up to the release of the second. Let me just move around a little. See, look, I just did that. And I really enjoyed it. The story was slightly less depressing than the first game, which is a big step. But they just copied the main character of the previous one, which is stupid, because the main character in the first one is shit. He's absolute garbage, especially at the end. but most of it is just depressing. It's like, but yes, it is what it is in that regard. But yeah, the parkour and the zombies and that were all good. The zombies weren't developed enough, and they couldn't go in directions they should have with that. But it is, kind of a symptomatic thing of zombie games. They think just add zombies and then don't have to do anything else with it when you've got to be a bit deeper. Stray came out, the cat game. And it's a nice cat game. I mean, you could be killed as the cat. I mean, that's pretty goddamn intense, but yeah, just a nice game that captured the hearts, because again, you're a cat. So if a cat can capture your heart, then you're just cold inside. Alright, now we're almost at the big boys, but I'm just gonna deviate for 1 second. The Callisto Protocol came out, huge expectations. And yeah, that was a mistake. You shouldn't have expectations for horror games. Really not a good idea. Yeah. So, but the bigger problems were on PC. But this is the year in 2022 on PlayStation 5 video. Yeah, so cop that. So it actually worked beautifully on PlayStation 5. Callisto Protocol worked great. I really enjoyed it. And people didn't like the combat. I've seen plenty of criticism of the combat, and I'll say, did they just want the same thing as every other game? And it's like, as soon as you try something different, you tried something different. And I appreciate that. So I actually enjoyed it. So it was challenging, and I enjoyed the challenge of it all. I didn't find it easy to cheese. I was on the hardest difficulty, so it was not easy to cheese. And the conveniently placed spikes on walls and things like that, I'm like, that's every horror game ever. Every horror game that's ever been created has been convenient. The premise of horror games is a convenience, a make-believe situation, or an apocalypse, or a serial killer in the house, all these far-fetched situations. And the contrivances that drive horror games forward they're endless. It's really hard to separate horror games from contrivance. But I enjoyed it. Others didn't. We move on. Now we're up to the big three. So we had first, we had Horizon Forbidden West. Talk about poor timing. But huge, open world. You can fly on your flying, beautiful robotic bird, which was great. Tremendous. Absolutely amazing that they finally added flying, which they should have added in the first one. And then all the giant fighting robots, giant dinosaur robots, and that's great. And the bow stuff was good, and that was great for a week. And then bloody Elden Ring came out. They released right next to each other, and Horizon Forbidden West really lost the battle, because Elden Ring was the game of the year. One of the most amazing games to have ever come out. A massive step in a open world direction by From Software, and they freaking nailed it. They freaking nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. Now the only part, I think, the biggest problem with Elden Ring is just multiplayer. I think multiplayer in Elden Ring is pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. And FromSoft's reputation in multiplayer parts of the Souls games is it's pretty average. Like, Dark Souls 3 had better multiplayer than Elden Ring. Just with their Covenant system. But, it is what it is. They added the Colosseum. So they added a PvP Colosseum, which, you can't see if there's anyone on the matches you're trying to join before you try to join them. And then it's pretty similar to Elden Ring, and it's only criticism, people saying that it doesn't tell you, specifically where to go, or have like a quest list on the side of your screen and all the Ubisoft UI or any of that stuff. But, you need a little bit of stuff for multiplayer. You need a little bit of just menu UI things. And you need to be able to see lobbies and see when people are in groups. And yeah, you need to do a lot more UI and systems development for that to facilitate easier multiplayer, and that's something that they just never do. It's always been pathetic. They never. I don't understand. It's a solo game. It's a solo game, and they just added the multiplayer sort of as a oh yeah okay, and then oh yeah we'll put a thing on the ground. Oh you can't even see it. It's over there, and then oh so begrudgingly multiplayer, which is quite strange because PvP is always so strong. But you know the bosses, the satisfaction of victory, the most important thing of all, you know, feeling good when you beat a boss finally, stronger than ever, and it was able to appeal to a much wider audience, and it was just tremendous. While Horizon Forbidden West is, you know, a visual marvel, it looks beautiful, graphics and I think it's phenomenal, and performance is fabulous. It's a different sort of game, you know, more. Well, it is story based, you know. It's got the narrative and the main character and the whole squad, and yeah, it's just different games, really. And but Elden Ring just able to break through to the mainstream. You know, people who hadn't played games in years played Elden Ring, and then people got stuck on the first boss and then gave up. But you know, they tried it. It's a big deal. And then we had look in the shadows. Then we had God of War. Oh, I should go to the snow actually. Oh, it's fine. That's what it is. God of War Ragnarok came out. The sequel to previous God of War. More character development, a couple more characters, and more character development, and some more character development with a bit more character development. A big game, a huge title, and you know, PlayStation exclusive. Same with Horizon Forbidden West, big PlayStation thing, and Gran Turismo 7. So big year for PlayStation. God of War Ragnarok came out, very expensive, but it had so much content in it. Such a big open world. Again, they moved away from this strong story and moved towards open world elements. And I don't know why they do that. They can honestly cut out almost all of the open world and just have strong story and character development, and they'd be fine. So they're just adding extra work for themselves, I suppose. You know, when you charge $130 for a game. So again, I'll mention that. You know, Elden Ring was $100 Australian, and God of War Ragnarok was $130 Australian, and Horizon Forbidden West was I think $120 Australian. So, and then Gran Turismo 7, bloody $120. So PlayStation charging more for their PlayStation exclusive games than ones that are on PC. So there was I think maybe another reason why Elden Ring again was just more popular was because it was cheaper. And it just sort of made sense in that regard. Just a little bit cheaper, but every dollar counts. So God of War Ragnarok, the big conclusion to this saga with Kratos and Atreus, and you know the prophecy of Kratos dying from the first game and it meaning absolutely nothing because it didn't exist at the end because you didn't talk about it. If you don't talk about prophecies, they don't exist, so it's all good. But yeah, still the combat was good, challenging. You start off really, really weak because Kratos forgets how to be strong and a badass after the first game. He goes, oh, that'll do. But then you build back up again. Your armor and all the gear is crap. Don't worry about that. It's garbage. God damn. But yeah, it's still a really good game. Really good character development. Good story. The characters constantly talk and actually talk about meaningful things. So you feel like you're just watching them. You're not really the main character at all. So again, you're not Kratos. So don't pretend to be Kratos. But that kind of similar to Horizon Forbidden West, you know. You're not... What's her name again? Aloy, you know. But you're still helping her win the battle, so you're doing that hard work. You're still getting that grit and determination. But Elden Ring, you are the Elden Lord. Hey! Yeah. So that's been 2022. A magnificent year in gaming. One of the most memorable, really. Tremendous for consoles. So I'll keep saying for consoles. Some disappointments for some people. You know, the Gran Turismo and Callisto Protocol, and some people disappointed by the Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, and Gotham Knights was a disappointment. Saints Row was a massive disappointment. Sonic Frontiers, they're still developing, so I can be reasonable. The repetitive iteration of sports games was a disappointment as usual. Unless you're just, you know, you're committed. You know, you go, oh, I'm going to play hundreds of hours of this sport game, so paying the same, you know, $100 every year for it, that's not a problem at all. You know, if you're going to pay it the whole year, 12 months, 100 divided by 12, do the math. $8.50? Something like that. Something like that. Also, A Plague Tale Requiem. I don't want to forget that one. Strong story game and with you know, open world things. I haven't played it, so I don't know if it's any good. You tell me if it's good. You tell me if it's better than the other games. I know it's emotionally very devastating and things. But yeah, that's really been... Oh, and then Need for Speed Unbound. Yeah, it is what it is. Goat Simulator 3 came out as well. And that's good fun for a short period of time, and then, yeah, you're done with it. But yeah, that's been the year. Let me just jump off here. That's been the year. The year in gaming. 2022. Oh. So tell me, what's your best game of the year? What's your worst game of the year? What's your most disappointing game of the year? For consoles, you know, if you talk about PC games, I don't have a good PC, so don't you know, get over it. Oh, oh, look at me roll, so beautiful. How could you look past this game? How could you? If you haven't played Elden Ring, play Elden Ring. Any of the games here I recommend that you must play. God of War Ragnarok. The story's okay until it makes no sense at the end why the prophecy didn't come to fruition, but whatever, who cares? They want to make another game, let's not pretend they don't. Horizon Forbidden West, really good game. Beautiful game, looks great. You know, I think it's a really good game, but I did take major breaks, you know, like I was playing Elden Ring, so I took a break and then taking another break recently from it. Sifu, really good game. Gran Turismo 7 got better. Callisto Protocol, I really enjoyed it, etc. So I've gone through it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You tell me what you think. You think you know, the year was good? The best year we've had in 10 years? No? You think it's a better years? What's the best year in gaming for you? Leave some comments, leave some arguments. I've touched on a lot of games here. There's a lot of games I didn't touch on so much. Should I have touched on them? Do you think I should have talked more about Hello Neighbor 2 or Return to Monkey Island or Neon White? That got a lot of attention. I haven't played that. Or Madden, you know? What about Madden? Fuck Madden. Fuck that franchise. Alright then, that's enough. Yeah. This has been 2022 and it's about to end. This is New Year's Eve. Crazy year. Crazy year. Alright then. Alright. I shall catch you again next time. It's been Frosty510. Like and subscribe. Disagree or agree. You know. Give me some action in the comments. I will respond. I do always respond, generally. Unless it's something weird. But yeah. Hopefully 2023 is even better. I'll have to do like a... Yeah, I'll do a thing about that. Okay. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for the future. Unreal Engine 5 and all that stuff all looks like so sick. I'm like, oh my goodness, why doesn't every game use that? But again, it is what it is. Alright then, I'll just catch you next time.